Well, I came down here hoping it would be a little bit quieter than elsewhere, but it isn't. So, but anyway, so we watched this show last night from stand-up comedian Ricky Gervais, who is an outspoken atheist, and he called his show Supernature. So he was clearly going to touch on the things of God and stuff like that at some point. I mean, wow, he covered a lot of topics. He's a very funny guy, I gotta say. But essentially, when he went onto the topic of basically life after death and religious beliefs, he was talking about, he lumped in heaven and hell, reincarnation, some other thing. I think that was pretty much it. Oh yeah, and returning as ghosts, you know, all these different understandings of the afterlife. But obviously he didn't represent biblical Christianity well. But he did represent this kind of, I don't want to call it pagan, because, well, I'm just going to call it pagan, I guess. He did highlight this kind of pagan Western idea of heaven and hell. The idea that that basically everyone goes to heaven, and that's, you're going to see all your loved ones there. You see, that's not biblical Christianity. Biblical Christianity is saying only the righteous and the saved go to heaven, and the rest, you know, go somewhere else. And yeah. So when he did mention that, he's like, some people believe in heaven, and then again, you know, I was like, oh, that's so dishonoring, you know, I'm so offended. But then just thinking on it a bit further, I'm like, no, he's listed out all the pagan beliefs and has, you know, basically shunned them. And it's like, as an atheist, that's a pretty good and perceptive job that he's done. Clearly, you know, he throws the baby Jesus out with the dirty bathwater of people having faulty beliefs. So yeah, I just wanted to share that there is a false idea of heaven and hell, and a lot of us believe it. You know, from my own story, I was in hospital recently and I had a roommate, and we got talking on that, and he knew in his heart and understood that he believes in God, and he believes that he'll go to heaven, at least he wants to be there, but he knows that his family doesn't, and he knows that they're not going to go there, and he's not going to see him there, and that made him so sad that he'd rather not think about it. And so that was very interesting to recognize. He'd just rather not think about it. Now the noises have stopped, so is my brain, so yeah, one moment. So yeah, rather than just not thinking about it, really he should have been inspired and motivated to do as much as he can to bring them to the knowledge of the truth. And so that comes back to this topic of, you know, I suppose, like preaching and evangelism, and you know, not just bringing up scriptures all the time and whacking people around with Bible verses. As much as I love that and wish that upon myself by others, I think it's quite edifying to be bombarded with scriptures personally. It's just not so effective with others, you know. Yeah, so the best he can do is like live out the Christian life and hope that they eventually come to the truth. You know, maybe talking about it isn't necessary, but praying is more necessary. I know that periods where I've been praying more than talking have been incredibly effective for making substantial changes in the lives of those that I love. So here's another one, and that's an unbelieving person came over to our house to do some work, and I got talking to them, and she got to this point where she's telling me about how she was financially in a tough situation, and when it came to it, she just looked at the situation and was like, I'm not going to worry about tomorrow, of the money that I don't have right now. I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. I'm going to worry about myself right now. So have I got shelter? Have I got a roof? Have I got food? Have I got all these things, electricity on? Yes, okay, everything's okay right now. And essentially tomorrow will take care of itself. I'm going to leave that stress for tomorrow. I'm not going to panic now. I'm not going to worry. And I was just so enthusiastic about that because I'd literally just read that in the scriptures, and I was just like, yes, this lady is so totally convinced that the Bible is right and true, and she doesn't even know it, and she's out there spreading biblical, godly truth, and she doesn't even know it. She doesn't even. And so, wow, how God can use the unbeliever, and how everyone has a bond and a relationship with God, which is the source of all life, which is truth. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that, how unbelievers out there can be doing a much greater job than believers can be in spreading the truth and spreading the good news. And yeah, it's important to recognize that, because we can get very self-righteous and yeah, we want to spread goodness and truth. We don't necessarily want to spread our particular doctrine. We want to procedurally have a dialogue with people, and with the knowledge of the truth that we have, bring them to that. And I think using personal experience that has confirmed scriptures in your life is a good method. However, I've seen people who are obsessed with doctrine, Calvinist type people, and they've looked back at when they got saved and they've just aligned it totally with the Calvinist doctrine, and so they've used that personal experience to support their propositional religious views, and so can be used for bad. I don't know where to go with this one, but yeah, story time, innit? I just want to say a final thing, and that's this whole idea of living the Christian life. The Christian life is being a disciple of Jesus. And pretty much, one could argue it's emulating Jesus, even though Paul says that emulations are a work of the flesh. But he also says, to imitate me as I imitate Christ. So do with that as you will. But so we want to follow Christ. We want to be like Christ. And gosh, he spent a lot of his time talking about the heavenly things, preaching. So living the Christian life isn't just, being a nice and kind guy or gal and, hoping for the best. But it involves a lot of prayer and a lot of real talk with people, a lot of ostracizing, a lot of being kicked out of synagogues and accused of being the devil. And yeah, Jesus, up until his ministry started, he was pretty much liked by everyone. Then when his ministry started, he created a huge division. He had people hated him that wanted to kill him, and he had really loyal followers. And this is another point, is that you want to surround yourself, like Jesus did, with people that are loyal to you, are faithful, that love you. That's what Jesus did. If you're going to be a disciple of Jesus, you want to do that. And Paul did that. Peter did that. You otherwise, you're in danger, and you're not copying Christ. So it's very important to have Christian friends. For me, I'm with my parents. They're my Christian friends who love me and always will be there and support me. And until I find others, I'm blessed. So yeah.